Yes, बताइए प्रभु.
Hare Krishna. So, Prabhu, I think this is the first time we are reading Caitanya Caritamrita or hearing Caitanya Caritamrita in that sense. We've heard a lot about Mahaprabhu and a lot of the classes around Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, but never really. This is definitely very high level.
Yes.
And looking forward to actually hearing from you and understanding a little better about.
No. Don't put me in the spot.
Or we don't know the format of
We
this.
have Dhira Lalita.
So, actually looking forward to hearing from devotees to understand what you've just read appropriately.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. I just had one question. I think it's more, it's the first few verses which said, right? You talked a lot about if you want to learn about Krishna, you have to learn from a proper Vaishnavite, right? So, if you look at the entire structure of maybe how ISKCON or probably all these organizations which are aligned to Krishna, right? They may actually follow the Vaishnavite way of doing it, but the people who come in are not Vaishnavites, right? So the people who are so for example, I know a lot of you who have just taken Diksha, you're not Vaishnavites by birth, right? So how does that translate into what he has said and what is happening now?
That's straightforward. Thank you for easy questions, Prabhu. I have the Varishta Vaishnavas for the tougher questions now. Janmana jayate Shudraha samskarat bhaved dvijaha. By birth, everybody is born a Shudra. It is by samskara. What does samskara mean? Reformatory practices. One has to be reformed by certain activities and then one becomes a dvija. Dvija means one can be a Brahmana, Kshatriya or a Vaishya. So like typically when a young child is given the Upanayana, the child can come from any of these three categories and the child will be trained. And that is still the first step of training. And depending on the nature of the child, the Acharya trains. So what this is talking about, that when one has to listen from a Vaishnava is, during the training process, one listens appropriately from a person who has a positive view of the scriptures, a positive attraction to the Supreme Lord. Why? Because these very same scriptures can be interpreted in multiple ways. It can be this section of verses actually has a lot to do, or a very deep connection with what is called as Advaita or impersonalism. I thought of discussing that at the end, but I'll probably leave it to the end anyways there. But the fundamental point here is, depending on whom we hear and how we hear, I mean, many people think that Sanskrit is the same Sanskrit. I translate it and it has one meaning, but it is not so. There is an anvaya, there is an intention behind it for which one has to go and refer to where this word, where this phrase has been referred to earlier. In other words, if you read what is called as the Brahma Sutra, the Brahma Sutra Bhashya has, it is split into what is called as different adhikaranas. These different adhikaranas, the first few set of adhikaranas are actually called Samanvaya Adhikarana. Samanvaya means consonants, or how you correlate everything. So what Vedavyasa says here is that you have scriptures which talk about different viewpoints. And how do you string all of that together? That is the Samanvaya. If somebody says that there is something given here, I have to negate it, it's a problem. Like say some of the scriptures say something, if I have to negate it, it is a problem. Why? Because the Vedas come from the Supreme Lord. The Vedas are the breathing and the speech of the Supreme Lord. How can the Supreme Lord say something wrong? So you have to say, tell me in what circumstance this is right. It is circumstantial. Some things may be circumstantial, some things may be universal. but you cannot negate certain statements. For example, Sripada Shankaracharya, he, in order to establish Samanvaya, he actually negated certain statements. He said these statements cannot be taken. So that was a problem. That is why all the other Vaishnavacharyas, including Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nimbarka, Vallabhacharya, all of them, there was a strong opposition, saying we have not heard of anybody saying that these set of verses have to be accepted and the others are not accepted. That was one. So to mitigate that, some of his followers, they said this is a relative truth, Vyavaharika, and another is the Paramarthika. So even there, when we hear from it, it sort of suits their philosophy that they want. So that's the whole purpose here that is spoken about in saying you have to hear from a Vaishnava is God is revealed from the heart of a person who has affection and attraction to him. Ideally, he should have been a realized soul, ideally. What about people like me? I have not realized God. For people like me, if I'm ever going to speak anything, I have to be perfectly following the scriptures as is. I have to quote for every statement that I have, I should say this is what it is. Because I have not yet realized. So that's the point here. Okay. Now I'll ask the tough question. You have another question?
One follow-up question. This is more like a follow-up question. There's a lot, I mean, I think ISKCON follows Dvaita, right? Or Advaita, right? So, okay. So, okay. What is the difference between the Dvaita, Advaita, if it's just not too much to ask?
That is 1 hour session.
Simple answer is 1 hour.
You want between Advaita, Dvaita and Vishishta and what ISKCON is, or between which one you want? Only between Advaita and Dvaita. See, Dvaita, Dvaitins are the followers of Madhvacharya. Okay, we are an offshoot of the Madhvacharya lineage, but ours still differs from Madhvacharya's points. It is not, his Madhvacharya's thing is called Shuddha Dvaita, pure duality. Ours is Achintya Bheda Bheda. We consider difference and we consider oneness, both, in the lineage of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Advaita is there is no difference. But if you ask a true blood Advaitin, what is Advaita? What is your understanding of Advaita?
This discussion actually came just last week. Somebody visited our house. So she follows the Ramakrishna Paramahamsa mission thing, right? So there was a discussion about that you are you are God, right? So I think Advaita follows that you don't have somebody for you to go and actually pray or something like that. God is within you and you need to, just realize that, right? I mean, that's essentially what she said.
So many people take the pedestal of Advaita to propagate their charlatan ideas. So Advaita is much more sophisticated than this and much more simpler than this. In other words, even the philosophy followed by Ramakrishna mission is called Neo-Vedanta. It is not Vedanta, it is modern, post-modern Vedanta. So if you see the Sringeri Mutt, the Kanchi Kamagodi Mutt, they will not accept the Vedanta, the Neo-Vedanta of Ramakrishna mission. Why? Ramakrishna mission will say Jesus is God, Allah is God. This doesn't come under the purview of the Sringeri Mutt, Kanchi Kamagodi. I mean, you can say something to get people together. It's a politician speech. That's a different thing altogether. But it is not that of a strong Shastrajna, somebody who knows Shastra. Shankaracharya himself has criticized the Buddhists in his Brahma Sutra Bhashya. The members of the Ramakrishna Mutt say, you can even follow Buddhism. Buddha is also God. there are many other things that come up there. So the thing with Advaita here is, many people understand Advaita differently, but I am telling you what those who are actually following Advaita, what they say. There is just one thing that is important in this world. And we who are in this world, we are allured by the Maya Shakti. We run behind many other things. But that one thing that is only important is Brahman. Okay, so all our endeavors have to go only towards that Brahman. That is the essence. On this aspect, all the philosophies converge. Then comes the next part. If Brahman is the only person, that or only entity, so to say, the one whom we have to be bothered about, what is the relationship of Brahman to Jagat, the world? What is the relationship of Brahman to the Jiva? This is where the notion, where Shankara explained it in one way and his followers explained it in a different way. And there are many theories which come under Advaita. Advaita is not a monolithic single theory. There are 4 to 5 different versions of Advaita. And all of them differ on the relationship between Brahman and the Jiva, and the Brahman and the Jagat. Is Brahman you put Maya, the transformation of Brahman with Brahman plus Maya is equal to Jiva? That is one theory. Or there is Maya is present, Maya is also non-different, but it is just we perceive it that way. For example, there is sun, there is cloud, and we are here. I may not perceive the sun because of the cloud, but that doesn't mean that the sun doesn't exist. So, which means a shadow on earth is not because of that the sun is corrupted by the cloud. It is just that the cloud is present over there. So then, why is the cloud present? Or why is Maya present? Why are people under the cloud, or why are they under ignorance? Those kind of questions come, and so various differences come into picture. In contrast, in Dvaita, it is very clear that we very clearly given there is Brahman, there is the tripod of existence. There is Brahman, there is this energy, there is a Jiva. There is a difference between all of them. Brahman is the only truth. They are subservient truths, or they are secondary truths. They have the source of existence on Brahman. So that definition is. Now comes the rest of the stuff. So now there is a five-fold difference comes into the picture between Brahman and Jagat, between Brahman and Jiva, amongst Jivas, amongst the elements of this world. So that we have these five-fold differences. That is where it comes as Dvaita, the duality that is present. And duality exists, and many other stuff. The Gaudiya Vaishnava's philosophy of Achintya Bheda Veda takes some of these, but still has differences elsewhere. That will go somewhere. Now we'll come back to today. Anybody from here? This set of verses where, apart from glorifying the Krishna as Dhira-Lalita, in the beginning you were not there, Prabhu. I think. I mean, you should read that verse. It's a wonderful verse, Prabhu. Hey. Huh?
That's a punishment for him.
No, not punishment. Narik. Yes. See, what is the definition? Do you know the definition of Dhira-Lalita? Oh, see, Prabhu, this is the definition of Dhira-Lalita. A person who is very cunning, who is always youthful, expert in joking, without anxiety, and who can keep his girlfriends always subjugated is called Dhira-Lalita. I mean,
Not me.
Anyway, but anybody has any thoughts on all that we discussed? I should give the mic. Prabhu, mic, either Anybody has some thoughts, please? Because I find these very foundational verses, but I'd like to hear from all of you. That
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I like one point about Prabhupada where he was deliberately saying as like these are all qualities of the gopis and everything, and one should not mislead to behave one like a gopi. One should hear from the devotees and be under authority. So I like that one point.
Anybody else?
Prabhu, it's his Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking process, right? But I didn't find that the Ramananda Rai is giving actually the process.
Prabhupada explained the purpose.
Maybe I missed it, Prabhu.
Okay, we'll go there. The process was explained. Absolutely explained.
Huh? That and much more. Much more. Huh.
I'm not seeing all the names.
Maybe I'll express my ignorance here first. But before I express my ignorance, at least Raghuraman Prabhu and Mridu, Govind, I cannot tell this to him because he is supposed to know all of this. But Raghuraman Prabhu and Mridu, you got to know a little about it during Prashanta Mataji's class. So you know the background here that Supreme Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has gone down south from Puri and he has met Ramananda Rai. This Ramananda Rai is none other than one of his dearmost associates, Vishakha Devi. And both of them are exchanging about what devotional service is about. Externally, Ramananda Rai is born, I think, in a Vaishya family. But although he is born in a Vaishya family, he was the ruler of the Madras area. So, under the Kalinga rulers were ruling Orissa. Prataparudra was the king. Their kingdom extended from Orissa all the way down to this Andhra and then Madras area. So, from the Godavari side till almost near Kaveri is where Prataparudra was the governor. Very accomplished person. And when he came down, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, when he came down south, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, you should go and meet him. But Mahaprabhu knew, the Supreme Lord knows he is there, and both of them are discussing. This topic has been given by the author, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, because this entire book, Chaitanya Caritamrita, has been structured as a manual for the followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And therefore there are lessons in each of these verses. And he expresses it by means, in some cases, by means of exchanges. Or to put it differently, at the end of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja, surrender unto me. How do you surrender? That how to surrender is present here in the entire Chaitanya Caritamrita. Next, at the end of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it ends with saying, what one should do in one's life is to chant the holy name of the Lord. That is the path for liberation. How to chant the holy name of the Lord? That is given in the Chaitanya Caritamrita. And in this section that we just discussed today is the blueprint of the life of a devotee. It's a blueprint of what gives success in one's life. So that's the background for all of this. And that's why I'm talking about it this way here. Process. Okay. Process is one. I'll just start from where you all were started, from the Lalita verse 187. We started this 187th verse about Dhira Lalita here. When you look at it as such, what do you look at this? Krishna is a person who is very cunning, he's youthful, he's expert in joking. He's talking about Krishna's girlfriends. And then Krishna does something with Srimati Radharani here. He enjoys even with the body of Srimati Radharani. Correct? Within this, if how many of you have ever studied Sanskrit and read Taittiriya Upanishad? No.
Okay. Very specific. No, because when I was in school, in 8th standard, our first lesson in Sanskrit, we had something called as detailed and non-detailed in that era. There is this non-detailed book. The first thing was Taittiriya Upanishad. Did you study SSLC board? You didn't take Sanskrit. Okay. So the Taittiriya Upanishad. No, he did, see, the thing is, Prabhu is from the convent educated school. I am from local school here. Iman, but that is also Christian oriented, no? Yeah. Okay. Huh?
He went to DMK educated school.
Huh?
He went to
DMK educated school. Huh.
No, we never had.
We never had.
But we had that detail one.
Non-detailed. Huh. So, when you go to the Taittiriya Upanishad, there are sections in the Taittiriya Upanishad. There is a section called Shikshavalli, then there is Bhrigu and there is one more Valli. 3 Vallis are there. And the first Shikshavalli is what, when a student comes in front of a teacher, what does the teacher teach, like at the stage of Upanayana? Shraddhaya Deyam, Ashraddhaya Adeyam. If you want to give it Shraddha. If you don't have Shraddha, Ashraddhaya Adeyam, don't give. This famous verse, Acharya Devo Bhava, like the Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, that is also coming from that sequence. So, first, the Shiksha Valli teaches how a student should live. Very nice lessons. It's a detailed topic, not for that. After Shiksha Valli comes the nature of the universe and what are we made of. So then comes the pran, like we all like to live. Nobody likes to die. And so then it comes, and we all, to live, we need to eat. So the whole notion of Anandamaya, Pranamaya, Annamaya, all these things come into picture there in the next section. So the Taittiriya Upanishad builds up. First, before you even inquire, first have the right culture, right habits, have the right value systems. That is the foundation. It builds the foundation, and actually it is meant to be taught over several years, months and years. It is meant to be taught. When the student practices it properly and he just memorizes certain things, then comes the actual Shiksha, then the next level. So in the discussion about this Annamaya, Pranamaya, Vijnanamaya, finally comes Anandamaya. And then there's a 7th Anuvaka, the 7th section of the Taittiriya Upanishad, where the Upanishad says, okay, you are this, your essence, it starts with saying your essence is not just food. You need food for sustenance, but your essence is not just food. Your essence is not just that you need air to breathe, or the prana is that you would like to live with something. So that is the pranamaya. But beyond that is you need ananda. And what is the basis for ananda? That is when the Taittiriya Upanishad says, Raso Vaisaha. The basis for Ananda is the Brahman, and that Brahman is the nature of Rasa. What is Rasa? He has exchanges. Rasa means he experiences some things. And this ties into your question. The Advaitin view doesn't acknowledge this Rasa component. And so this Rasa, and so they have a different understanding of the Rasa altogether. So this Raso Vaisaha, Rasa means the absolute truth enjoys something. That is what is given here. The first few verses that we discussed. If the absolute truth does have rasa, he enjoys. How does he enjoy? That is given with how he enjoys with Srimati Radharani. That's the philosophical basis. So we are coming to the acme of the Upanishads. He's just told in few lines, in few sentences, just like this in a Caitanya Caritamrita. And how fortunate we are that today is a Rath Yatra. Krishna is going to meet Srimati Radharani, and we are just discussing that aspect. He's fine, very nice. And then, when Ramananda, then comes here, that when Ramananda is explaining the different ways in which Krishna is experiencing the love of Srimati Radharani, he said, Mahaprabhu confirmed these verses and he said, this is the limit of the goal of human life. Only by your mercy have I come to understand it conclusively. The goal of life cannot be achieved unless one practices the process. Now, being merciful upon me, please explain that means by which the goal can be attained. Two things come up here. Number one, the Supreme Lord Himself is showcasing that in this process, one has to hear from others. Somehow that's how it works. Think whatever you want, say whatever you want, but that is how it works. When one may read as much as possible, one may speculate in his own mind as much as possible, one may try to infer in whatever way possible. But when it comes from the mouth of a person who is experiencing it, then it enters into our heart. And that is why the process of hearing is so important. And the Supreme Lord Himself is showing Himself as an example. And then He asks the process, right? Now, the right Acharya who can speak, what is the mood of an Acharya? So Mahaprabhu has taken the role of a disciple, Ramananda Rai has taken the role of an Acharya. That the mood of an Acharya is given by Ramananda Rai. Raya kohe ye kaho se kahi vani, ki kohe bhala manda kichu na jani. I don't know what I am speaking, whether be it good or bad. I am simply repeating the message. This is the mood of an Acharya. And likewise, and this is very important for all of us, in that sense that we all also have to embody this very mood. I am repeating that message, but it is your presence here that is making me speak these words. On my own, I couldn't have spoken. To the extent we truly feel this, we are progressing. Vice conversely, if we don't feel this, we are not progressing. That's one. Thank you. To the extent we feel that the questioner is actually empowering the speaker, to that extent the speaker is actually progressing in his spiritual life. Otherwise, he or she is not progressing. Then, the questioner. Because here, the student or the questioner is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Ramananda is saying, you are the one who is making me speak. I don't know anything. So we often think in terms of the disciple is lower in the hierarchy or subordinate, and the guru is higher in hierarchy. But from the perspective of the guru, or the perspective of Shukadev Goswami, how does he speak? As soon as Parikshit Maharaj asks a question, oh wow, you've asked a wonderful question. Now I can explain something more. Right? In other words, to elaborate on this point, there may be many principles. But when the questioner asks a particular question, which embodies a particular circumstance possibly, then the speaker has to connect different principles and then connect it to that circumstance. Who is giving the strength for it? The strength for it is coming twofold. One is the speaker's desire that may the glory of my Guru who has given this knowledge, let it continue. In other words, it is said in one of the tantric, the Satvata Tantras, it is said, a guru should not give up his body unless and until he finds a suitable disciple to whom he can give his knowledge to. Whatever he has learned from his guru, he should keep his body intact till he passes on not just the knowledge, but the culture, everything. Till that happens, he has to stay. So the guru or the speaker feels that, wow, I have got this nice audience. Now, if this audience were to come like this more, I can give everything and then I can leave my body. I can go further in my life, in my thing, because I have this nice question. So that's the empowerment that comes. So the guru never thinks that he is at a lower level and I have to lift him up. I have a service to continue the tradition. And to continue this tradition, the right candidate has come. Let me do what is possible. So he sees that the fulfillment of my service is coming. Okay? So that's that aspect there. Now, so that's what the meaning. Actually, you are speaking through my mouth and at the same time you are listening. This is what Ramananda Rai says, which means a speaker always understands that it is the mercy of his guru and the mercy of his of the Supreme Lord by which he is able to speak. And the other person is able to understand not because the speaker thinks that he is a great person. It is the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Both of them. That comes here. And he says this is very mysterious. Okay? Then Ramananda Rai comes up as soon as he talks about the process, principle number 1, that comes is in verse number 201. That's why I said let's go through the verses 200 to 210. First principle in 201. The pastimes of Radha and Krishna are very confidential. They cannot be understood through the mellows of servitude. That is Dasya, Vatsalya, Bhave, now Hoye, Gochara. Dasya, Vatsalya, Adi. Dasya, Vatsalya, Sakya. All of this will not be sufficient. What does it mean? Many people, or most of them, think God is my Father who is going. God, Father who art in heaven, give me my daily bread. This is the Christian prayer. Many of us think of God as our Father, but the notion of God as a Father and the notion of God as somebody who has loving dealings with Srimati Radharani are two different things. Even having the notion that God is just there to protect me is still blocking us from, in one sense, going to serve Srimati Radharani. So the principle here is go beyond the notion of God as a protector. Fear is one, but God is going to take care of my needs and necessities. Father is there to take care. It's correct, it is true. But what the Caitanya Caritamrita and the Gaudiya Parampara is giving us here is, there is something higher. Let's go there. That's the starting point at which he's giving. Why? Because Ramananda Rai is only about the highest things. He's not about much lower level here. Next, he says, yes, we have to go with God as having loving dealings with Srimati Radharani. And then what is my role in that? The next thing that comes is, directly spoken here, actually only the gopis have the right to appreciate these transcendental pastimes, and only from them can these pastimes be expanded. Which means there are already liberated souls called the gopis. Only they can appreciate. That is there, number 1. And number 2, they are not just there, they are present to be in the pastimes, they have another role. And the other role is, the pastimes have to be expanded. Leelara Vistar. How can pastimes be expanded? Krishna has a pastime, he can expand himself. So when the Rasa-lila happened, there was one Krishna for every gopi. Between two gopis, there was one Krishna. The many gopis came in the dead of the night, they left their homes, they went to the middle of a forest, they did all of that. And it is said by in the Bhagavatam and in the commentary that only next to Srimati Radharani there was only one Krishna. But when they were in the center of the circle. Everybody else, between two gopis there was one Krishna. Correct? So if this Rasa-lila pastime has to expand, how can it expand? The number of gopis has to increase. Which means the number of souls who participate have to increase. And therefore, it is important that we connect more souls in this material world to go back to the spiritual world. That is our goal here. That we support the gopis to expand the Leela of Krishna. Rasa-lila is one aspect, but Krishna that is one Leela of Krishna. It is the essential Leela of Krishna, no doubt about it. But Krishna has Leela in various ways. And therefore, the whole mission of ISKCON, that getting more people of this world to be connected to Krishna, is embedded here. Number 1. Yes. Preaching is one. Getting people to worship the deity is one. Getting people to have loving relationships with others is one. All of that comes into this aspect here. Next. Without the gopis, these pastimes between Radha and Krishna cannot be nourished, correct? Only by their cooperation are such pastimes broadcast. It is their business to taste the mellows. Two things. The broadcasting of Krishna's pastimes requires that these different gopis, they cooperate together. We learn from the Brihad Bhagavatamrita that the gopis and their servants, they come to this world as acharyas. the what you call the Nitya Siddha Acharyas. Okay, so many Acharyas cooperate to broadcast this. For example, when Srila Prabhupada was there in Vrindavan, Rupa Goswami, who came 500 years prior, approximately, or 400, something like that, he personally gave an audience to Srila Prabhupada and said, I will empower you. You just take my books and go. You write whatever you want. I will give the right ideas to you. So Srila Prabhupada never thought that what is writing is his writing. It is Rupa Goswami's giving. So two acharyas, Prabhupada, Rupa Goswami, cooperating together to spread these activities. So it is, so then comes the next part. It is their business to taste the mellows. The rasa is tasted by them. Then what about us? They are great gopis. They are tasting it. Correct? Now, the next verse is the one which gives a full detail, 204 to 205. Prabhupada's detailed purport gives the step-by-step process also. But first the translation. Without the help of the gopis, one cannot enter into this pastime. So they taste the rasa, and without their help, we cannot get in. Primarily, it means one has to serve the acharyas. If one doesn't serve the acharya, one cannot enter. That's the primary thing. Correct? And only after this service to the gopis, it said, only then can one understand the conjugal love between Radha and Krishna. There is no other procedure for understanding. So that's the foundational point that is being kept here. That this service to the gopis is important. And the acharyas who serve these gopis is important. But then Srila Prabhupada very kindly explains it. The first business of the gopis is to chant the glories of both the hero and the heroine. Who is the hero? Krishna. Who is the heroine? Radharani. Now, so it is the nature of the devotees in the lineage of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that they have to learn what are the pastimes and activities of Radha and Krishna, and they have to glorify it. They'll have to say how they both are having happiness together. Why? We'll come back to the Taittiriya Upanishad. Raso vai saha. The absolute truth's nature is that of rasa. Now, from this Taittiriya Upanishad, we can connect to the Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said, coming back to your question here, Arjuna asked the question, there is the path of impersonalism, Advaita, in the 12th chapter. It's probably the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th verse, somewhere there. Before 8th verse though. There's a path of impersonalism and there's a path in which one has bhakti to you. Of these, which is better? So Krishna says, well, you can try the path of impersonalism, but it is very difficult. The path of bhakti is straightforward. Why? Because right from the 7th chapter it starts, but in the 9th chapter, Rajavidya Raja Guhyam, when he talks about it, Krishna says, Susukham kartum avyayam. This process of bhakti is susukham. It is easy. Why is it easy? It is easy because if you look at all of us, we have a soul. Covering the layer of the soul is a layer of aham. Ahankara. You can call it whatever. I am this, I am that, whatever it is. This ahankara requires intelligence. It requires a mind which gets inputs from the senses. So I touch it, the mind gets a sense. The mind says this is nice to touch, this is not nice to touch. And then the sense of aham feels that in the past I have touched something, then intelligence kicks in to say, oh, now let me do something for you to touch everything. Right? Creates all this sequence of things happen. But the path of Advaita, what it does here is, it says, negate all of this. Not this, not that. You are not the mind, you are not the intelligence, you are not the aham that you are speaking about, you are just the Atma. For a person who is fully into doing this for not 1 year, 2 years, but we have been doing this for billions of years, it is very tough. What this path here is saying is, it is the very same senses that you are in touch with, you are to just spiritualize it. And when you connect it to Krishna, then the taste happens. That is why it is Susukham Kartamavyayam, and that is why it starts with use the senses that we want, or whatever we have in this world. Use the mind, use the tongue. But first thing to be purified is the tongue. And that is why it's coming here. The first business of the gopis is to chant the glories of both the hero and the heroine. Next. The second business is to gradually create a situation in which the hero may be attracted to the heroine and vice versa. And normally we all think the heroine here is Srimati Radharani alone. But the gopis, what do they want? We have been told previously, their business is to expand the variegatedness, vistara of those who are going to serve Krishna. And we heard today's verse also. Srimati Radharani wants the gopis to serve Krishna. The gopis want Radha to serve Krishna. So now, on the order of Radha, the heroine that is being referred to here are all the souls, all of you here. It is the role of the Acharya that he sees here is a person who can become the next member of Krishna's party. So therefore, what he does, the second business is to gradually create a situation in which the hero may be attracted to the heroine, which is the guru creates, or the Acharya creates circumstances by which this individual soul renders some service. You pull the chariot, you pack something, do something, whatever. And Krishna says, oh, you have done something for me. That is the role that is coming up here. Then comes the third business, is to induce both of them to approach each other. So you do some activity. But then comes this, you did this activity, right? For whom did you do? For Krishna. Can you cultivate the closeness between him? So the guru comes and talks something more about the Vishaya, the subject. That is the third. Then comes the fourth business. It is only after this attraction is given by the guru to the disciple, the fourth business is to surrender unto Krishna. So the ideal teacher will not talk about surrender unless and until the disciple has generated some interest in the subject matter. You cannot go to a beginning person and say, Sarva Dharman Pariteja Ma Mekam Sharanam Vraja. That is all not possible. It takes time. And that's what Srila Prabhupada has done for us. He doesn't say to us, you give up this, you give up that. Come, engage in activities. And through hearing, you will gradually be attracted. When the hearing is pakwa, is ripened, then can you sacrifice something? And this is how the guru works in the life of an individual. He says, I know you like it, but for my sake, can you do this for me? So at that stage, the guru still does not invoke or evoke Krishna. He just says, for my sake, can you do it? But it is actually for Krishna's sake. In his heart, it is for Krishna. But he says, can you do it for me? And when the disciple says, yes, the path opens up further. It widens even further. Right? Next. The fifth is to create a jovial atmosphere. The thing that happens when you do surrender is suddenly it so happens that, my God, I'm giving up so much. So then the guru has to come once in a while and say, it's okay. Now, when the guru sees that the Shishya is doing his best, even when there are frailties, even when the person doesn't do 100%, he creates a very nice atmosphere. And that is what is required. Sometimes you will have to lighten the mood as such. That's the jovial atmosphere. The sixth is to give them assurance to enjoy their pastimes. So, as the Shishya progresses, a time comes, I have been spending so much time, but I have still not received anything. This is when, ideally the guru and even the set of all the devotees representing the guru or the other associates, they have to give a confidence. This confidence is required for everybody. Like for example, Hanuman. Hanuman also wanted this confidence. He had to take the confidence from Jambavan that yes, I can render a service. Or even after Hanuman reached Lanka, multiple times he couldn't see Sita. Then what happened? There's a Brahmanda Purana, in which again we have the Ramayana. In that, actually, Hanuman remembers that as soon as he landed in Lanka, he vanquished Lankini. And Lankini said, I was told that when the monkey comes and slaps me, Ravana will be vanquished. You please go to Ashokavana. There Sita is present. So he goes and searches all other places other than the Ashokavana. But then he remembers, Lankini told me. Somebody is required. Lankini was not his guru in that sense. But an Acharya or an ideal disciple always sees, the Supreme Lord is going to speak to me through many people. Even Lankini whom he vanquished actually gave him something nice. right? You never know from where it can come. The more we say that this, he is my friend, he is my enemy, I am going to be limited to only this friend and not this enemy, it's tough. That's why great souls, they don't consider people as friend, enemy, things like that. They see where is the mercy of the Supreme Lord coming. To a much greater extent, I think you might recollect this, Rupa Goswami, he was a minister formerly, before he became a Babaji or a Goswami as such. He was the minister of the Muslim king of Bengal. So there was the Muslim kingdom of Bengal. Below that, or to the south or southeast of that, was the Kalinga kingdom. A very good minister, and the minister had said that if you do not become the minister, he was a very famous scholar, I am going to kill all the Vaishnavas of Nadia. So he said, if I serve a Muslim, I will get sins. One person will go to hell. But all of them, their life is meant for higher purpose. They will all lose their life. Let me lose. Let me go. Because anybody who would serve a Muslim takes the result of they were killing cows, animals, whatever, other animals, etc. And he was a minister who was trying to get more money to the treasury through which all of this can be done. He is also culpable. He knows I am culpable. And throughout their life, for the rest of their life, Rupa Goswami and his brother Sanatan Goswami, both of whom were ministers, they always said, we are the lowest of the low. We have served such people. But Krishna saw their intention. Their intention was to protect everybody. And so Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu extricated them. But before they became the ministers, they were very well-known scholars. And the king knew about them. And one day, after they were, they became the minister of the king, one night, it was raining heavily. And when it was raining heavily, Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami were in the city, in one side, and I think the capital of the kingdom was crossing a river on the other side. So somebody came with a message from the king saying, he wants to meet you now. He was a Muslim king, Nawab, somebody there. Rupa Goswami rushed. As he was going by, there were people who were carrying him on a palanquin. I think either it was a palanquin or a chariot, I don't know, but one of these two, those days. As he was passing through, a washerman, I think it was a washerman or a blacksmith, one of these two, he said, look how attached are people to wealth and position. Even when it is raining, they are going to serve their master. Rupa Goswami heard it. He said, you're right. And then he made his plan and he just ran away from the service. Of course, Sanatan Goswami had to do something more. We'll discuss that some other time. But one washerman or this blacksmith, I forget who it is, they took the word of that. Who was Rupa Goswami? By that time, he had already started writing commentaries. Who was this washerman? Didn't know anything about any of the commentaries. But he said, yes, you are right. So, this whole thing, this fifth, the fifth thing is to create a jovial atmosphere. The sixth is to give them an assurance to enjoy their pastimes. And the seventh is the next step. As one gets an assurance, one needs positive activities all the more. That is why it is said, the seventh, where is the seventh? To dress and decorate both the hero and the heroine. This is when the intensity increases, one gets an opportunity furthermore to dress the deities of the Lord. And to take part in various other activities corresponding to the Supreme Lord. That's even more, right? So then, and the eighth is to show expertise in expressing their desires. It is at this point that the heroine or this soul who comes into this picture here, they gradually begin to spiritualize their inner being. Then they feel, I would like to serve God in a particular way. For example, speaking too much? Okay. My wife says it is too much, I should stop here. No, she says she doesn't like it. Oh, I have to follow my wife's order. No, I have to follow her. Anyway. The eighth, like Srila Prabhupada received an order from his guru, go to the Western speaking world and spread the teachings of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada had his own internal thing. I want to spread it in India. He tried India first, didn't work. He went to the West. Then he came back to India and he did it. Even So the thing is, a devotee gets some inspiration and some orders from his guru, but they will also get their own inspirations to do some things. And this is the natural life of a devotee. So you can see the rest, the 15 steps and everything that is given here. You can read it carefully. You'll understand this very easily. Huh? One sentence.
Even though we read 100 times, we cannot get all these things.
No. Huh? 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 Next week, yes. Oh, what's the time now? 8:35. Yes, it's prasadam time. The kids are already looking at. They are hungry. And yes, exactly. So we'll pause here. Any comment from any of you?
So the same verse.
I have a question about the. There was a brief description where you mentioned about the rasas and Ramanandara and only the highest rasa, right? A thumb rule or a layman's understanding of differentiating between that could possibly be, you're moving from looking at Krishna as a provider or taking service from Krishna, even though we are seeking shelter, you're still taking service from him, to looking at it as wanting to serve without expecting anything in return. But is that the right way to look at it? But
That's the beginning.
Okay.
That's just the beginning. Maybe next session, I thought of doing it today actually, but I think it's that will take another 15 minutes.
This is in context to what you said earlier about Ramanandaraya being interested in talking about the Madhurya Rasa only.
Yes. So what I want to talk next time maybe is we can go through what are the different rasas. There is Shringara Rasa, Veera, Hasya, Raudra, Bhayanaka, Bhibhatsa. How all of them are related. In fact, the verses that we read here are actually telling us that there is something called as Vibhava, Anubhava and Udipan. It's actually giving us the details of this. And it was because Rupa Goswami also heard about all of this. He based it upon Bharata Muni's Natya Shastra for all of it. So we'll go through that, a different lens to look at these set of verses next time. చెప్పండి ప్రభు తెలుగులో చెప్పండి ప్రభు నాను తెలుగు అర్థం అవుతుంది నాకు
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
You said Guru will live until he finds right disciple.
Yeah.
Do you have any examples?
I'm just see, this is a verse from, I think I forgot, the Paushkara Samhita. That's this verse that I think it's called Pushkara Samhita or something like that. It is quoted by Vedanta Desikacharya in his Sarva in Rahasya Traya Sada. Hare Krishna, please come in through. In many cases, we see that the at least in the case of Srila Prabhupada, we definitely see His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami taking it up at that level. It's not, I mean, like, he understood the mood in various ways, and it took some time for it to manifest from himself, but he's a very prime example from there. Now I understand where you possibly may be coming from. In between, in our same Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, maybe sometime between Narottam Das Thakur and until Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur came, maybe there's a break. But they may not have been people who are very successful in a worldly sense. But they might have been they were successful in embodying the values and in enshrining the same principles that were given into their life so that it continues. Success is not always seen in terms of numbers of the world, but even if one person keeps it, and he has a small community which embodies it, it will help the next person to take it. So in that sense it was done, Prabhu, between even Narottam Das Thakur and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes. Yeah, yeah.
Why is Sankhya Rasa not able to understand
Why Sakirasa is also not the highest?
not able to understand. Like they are not able to understand the pastime of Radha and Krishna. Similarly, why Sankhya Rasa also? Because in
It-
Sankhya Rasa there is no demand for the.
Yes. But in Madhuri Rasa there is something which is not there in any of the other rasas. Unquestioned surrender is present in the Madhurya. There is, anything can happen to me, but for you, I am there for, I will endeavor for you, my mind, my body, everything is there for you, whatever you want. That is the uniqueness of Madhurya Rasa. Having said this, I'll tell you something else here. Most of the books of Srila Prabhupada, or I should say, were edited, of course, by Pradyumna Prabhu in English, but it was also edited by one more very elevated Vaishnava called Gopi Parana Dhanna Prabhu. After, and especially from, I think, some 15th or 20th chapter of the 10th canto, all the way till the end of the Srimad Bhagavatam, even the translation was done by him, along with help from Pradyumna Prabhu. Okay? After he finished all of this, he translated the Brihad Bhagavatamrita also. The Brihad Bhagavatamrita gives hierarchy in spiritual worlds. It expands on this. And Gopi Paranadhana Prabhu said, to his people who were very close to him, before he left this world, he said, my wish is to go to Vaikuntha. He translated everything to go all the way to Golok Vrindavan. He translated all the books which said Madhuri Rasa is highest. He was there in the translation for even the 10th canto of Bhagavatam. But he said, I want to go to Vaikuntha. It is very different. It comes at a stage, although we say it is higher, we should never think that those who have the Vatsalya Rasa or the Sakya Rasa are lower. In fact, we are even hearing from them. Like what we know of Krishna in Madhurya Rasa today is to a large extent from Gopi Paranadhana Prabhu. But he wanted to go to Vaikuntha. Right? And this is most important. Okay, let me complete it here. That is, in one sense, the essence of all these verses here, which is the gopis never are jealous that Radha is getting the prime position. Radha is always saying that I am getting so much, I want the gopis to receive something. Entrance into the spiritual world is only for those who do not have jealousy. That Vaikuntha means a place of no jealousy, no enviousness. I have it, I don't have it, you have it. That notion should never come into picture. Okay? So, and only such people can actually say, look, this is the full vision. I am happy here. If you want, you can go there. Okay?
We had a lot of discussion on this particular point.
Prabhuji, you said Mayavad philosophy, impersonalism is harder than Bhakti Yoga and it's not straightforward. So does that mean it leads to Krishna? Like the destination is Krishna?
And very tough, in a very tough way. Most of 90% of the time it doesn't. But by the mercy of Krishna, even somebody who follows impersonalism will finally be attracted to the personal aspect of the Lord. That in that way they will have it. In that sense, it is the indirect method.
Provided they meet a Vaishnava.
Yes, all of that.
This one quick question.
Why are you asking? So many people are there. You ask all of them.
No, from your description only. So the question. So although this Madhurya Bhava is topmost, and then we have parental affection, and then Sakya. But in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, or even in ISKCON also, Dasya Bhava is more prominent, or it's encouraged more. We hardly talk about the any other rasas.
No, it's not that way.
Okay.
What is mentioned is Dasya permeates all the other rasas. It is the essence of Sakya, Vasalya, even Madhurya. It is the essence. So get your foundation right. So be a servant. In that sense it is spoken about.
Yeah. That is true, but we hardly touch the other rasas, right?
I mean, so the thing here is, we waste a lot of our time in doing silly things, and therefore we don't do intense sadhana. Rupa Goswami has said that, like, even if you take our morning program, evening program, everything is leading us to serve Radha and Krishna. Right? The Guru Ashtakam in the morning, Tulsi Arti in the morning, the holy name Hare Krishna, all of that is just leading us to that. But having said it, everybody who is an Acharya in the lineage knows that the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is very unique. It is in one sense propagated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu allows people of different kinds to come together. At some point in time, every individual will realize what they are attracted to, which aspect of God they are attracted to. So the magnanimity of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says, he brings in everybody. He starts with attraction to Radha and Krishna, which is preceded by attraction to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then every soul can figure out what they want. But we are at the stage of trying to get attracted to service. We are rebelling against service. So our role, our stage is at that stage now, most of us. I like. Yes. Yeah.
Sometimes get confused with that enjoyment.
Yes. We are enjoyers right now. But the only good thing in our life is if we have a nice Acharya with us, who is going to be with us, like that 5 steps, 6 steps. One by one, they will come and do something for us.
So that's why all things connected to Krishna is more important.
Or like Tulsi Arti, or everything which connects us to God is more emphasis. The emphasis is given on the sadhana, right, Prabhu?
Because if you connect, because Krishna is complete. Anything connected to complete, you will get smaller things also from that complete.
Fantastic class, Prabhu. Today it was koti pranam to you. It was amazing. Thank you.
My wife doesn't accept it.
No, she understands our feelings, like we cannot take so much. She's talking.
She is more compassionate towards us. Because we would have just gone reading further, Prabhu.
You are speaking at this level, we are at this level, so we cannot.
Okay. Rishi, Mahaprasade Govind. No need, you know this.